Hi, good morning. I'm Juanita and welcome to the Knit Guru. This is my chaotic strawberry patch that needs weeding, but that's not going to happen right now. And I'm going to use the excuse of it's overcast. The dog's probably going to bark. The roosters are going to crow. The sheep should at least be quiet because they've just been fed. Anywho, here we have something in New Zealand called the A&P Show, or the A&P Society, which stands for Agricultural and Pastoral, I think. Basically, it's a big event that happens in rural communities once a year. And there's a bit of everything. Like, there's a whole sheep showing section. There's a dog showing section. There's a making your jams and preserves section. There's a whole stack of things. Why I'm being swarmed by sandflies. Oh, it's going to be humid today. Oh, no. Anyway, one thing it does have is a woolen section. Now, for a while, I've been thinking I should enter the A&P Show. And then, of course, because I can't do anything by halves, I have the too much gene, I figured, why don't I enter every category? I'm still half by seriously thinking about entering every category. Now, I have to have my entry forms in and entry fee next week. How many of these items have I finished, did you ask? Yeah, so I figure this is what I've got. I've got a week to work out how many of these things I can get done. Here's my current plan. Class 200 is baby booties, 4-ply or finer, hand-knitted, trimmings allow, label required. Now, I do need to upgrade and refine my springtime baby booty pattern, so I'm tempted to make some of those. I do have yellow baby yarn in 4-ply, and I can make them in a 3mm needle, and that should work quite nicely. Or I've got a design for a bee-shaped booty. That should be doable. That should take maybe an evening. Next one, baby socks, 4-ply or finer, hand-knitted, label required. Again, I can do this. I know I've done 5-year-old socks relatively quickly, so that shouldn't take too long. I've got the yarn. Yeah. Then babies all-in-one or singlet, 4-ply or finer, label required. All of these require having the label to the yarn. So I can't easily just use stash yarn because not all of my stash yarn has labels on it anymore. Because I'm in it's bits and pieces. And some of it's from mum. So what we've got there is singlet. I know I've got a singlet pattern somewhere. I know the shapes and sizes of singlets, so I could throw one together. That should be doable, but that's going to be low on my list of priorities. The next one, matching hat and scarf, knitted or crochet. It's the matching part that makes me worry here, because scarves take me forever. I do have a completed V-stitch crochet scarf, but can I do a matching hat for it? Is the issue, because with the crochet scarf, what I ended up doing was double stranding, and I used a whole skein of hand-dyed yarn alongside a strand of Palliser merino. Does that require? It doesn't require having. It doesn't require having a label. So do I go with matching in that the hat and the scarf are slightly different? I could potentially make a V-stitch hat out of the yarn that I made the V-stitch scarf out of, but not the double-stranded. So it would be like a cream hat and a yellow and cream scarf. If I put cream tassels or maybe pom-pom, I'll see what I can do there. It's doable. Child's multicoloured garment, double knitting wool, label required. I've got written down here that I could make a penguin cardigan, which is definitely doable. Or I did want to make my niece a granny crochet cardie for Christmas, and I have the yarn for that. So I could do that. That shouldn't take too long. It's multicoloured. Yeah. Then we've got the adult garment, hand knitted, any ply or yarn. So hopefully what I could do here is finish the Hobie knit along that I'm currently doing. We're up to part 5. Part 5 is the start of the sleeves, and that's this week. Next week this has to go in, which hopefully that means that next week we've got the next part of the sleeve, and I'm hoping that the last part is just construction rather than anything else. So if I stay on track of that one, because I'm almost back up in time with it, I could finish that. Then we've got a funky chunky garment, 14 ply or upwards, any article, trimmings allowed. I have purchased a kit from a company called the Joy Make Club, which has got a very chunky yarn. It says it takes about 14 hours to make this cardigan. I'm going to make the cardigan almost how it is described, but I do want to put some cables on the sleeves because I like cables. So that is doable. The next one is a tea cozy. I have a pattern for a tea cozy that I've been wanting to use, so that's tempting. Next one, gloves or socks, 1 pair knitted any yarn. I should have a pair of socks. What's up? Do I need to have I don't need to have the labels, so there's that. I do have my rainbow sparkly socks that are finished. They could go in. I'm also working on the 15-minute a day socks at the moment, so they could go in. So I've got a couple of pairs of socks that haven't been worn. Well, one of them hasn't been finished yet, but we'll see how we go. The next one, toy, knitted or crocheted, any yarn, trimmings allowed. What I wanted to do for this one was the Crochet by Kitten Girl Ivy Saw pattern. So, you know, of course, I'm not setting myself low targets here. I'm making it hard for myself. The next one, baby's blanket, 8 ply, double knit, knitted or crochet. I have the yarn. I could potentially enter that. The next one is a knee rug, knitted or crocheted, any yarn. That could be the star blanket that I've made. The star blanket's not great, but I could just throw that one in, and it would mean that I've got at least one thing finished. The next one, any article, knitted, any yarn, maybe subdivided. Not sure what that subdivided means. Any article, knitted. I have knitted articles. I can find a knitted article. Maybe I can enter my Shakespeare vest. I could do that. I don't know. And then the last one is any article, crochet, any yarn. And I could put in my granny cardigan into that one. But it's any article, so I could put anything in there. What have I actually crocheted? I could put in the lily top. That could be cute. I could also finish the test knit of the singlet for the woven. I say finish as though I'm close to it. I'm about that far through it. Or I've got hats and things. So is it possible to enter all the sections? It maybe. But of course, I didn't stop there because I have a too much gene. I want to enter one of my cabbages in the garden section along with 4 stems of herbs. I don't think I can manage the 4 matching broad beans because my broad beans are just 4 weeks to grow broad beans. Maybe it's possible. It could be doable. I'm not going to do the cooking section, but where is it? Somewhere there is. I don't want garden section. Honestly, I've got all the rules highlighted. Yeah. Somewhere on one of these pages, we've got... Right. Dog coat, any medium. I have a dog. I've knit him jumpers. I could make him another jumper. Christmas decoration. I do have some kits to make more Christmas decorations. I do need to make one of them up as a video in my Christmas series, so that's doable. Pincushion, any medium. Again, I could enter that one. Basically, almost anything can be a pincushion. Yeah. And then there's one for fancy coat hangers. I mean, I don't know why I've highlighted that. Well, actually, I think I do. I think I wanted to make fluffy ones. But I think my first section is going to be, how many of these things can I tick off my list in the next week before I've got to get my entry forms in? And then work out how many of them I can still finish in time for drop-off. because the time between now and when the last possible second that they can be dropped off is basically 3 weeks. I do have 1 more week of school holidays, but then school's going to get really busy. So I'm not going to have a lot of time after that. So the next week is going to dictate what I'm getting put in. Yeah. All right, I can't carry on doing this introduction for much longer. I desperately need to get knitting. What am I going to sit down and work on first? Probably none of these, knowing me. No, I've got to catch up on the Hobie jumper. I want to finish the back today, at least. And if I finish the back, we're all good. I also need to work on my Halloween socks. So I'll get those 2 things done. And then maybe I just start at the top. No, I think I'm going to have to skip to the Ivysaw, because the Ivysaw is going to take a while. And I've got to work out where I put the Ivysaw pattern. Wish me luck. Welcome back to my garden this morning. There's a lot of birds around today, which is fantastic, and all the poppies that are out. Now, I entered the A&P show, and I'm fairly certain that I filmed an introduction, or at least a planning video about all the things I wanted to make for the A&P show, and which all the categories I wanted to enter. So this is what I ended up entering, and then I'm going to go through my results. So the first one, because this is on the top of my box, this was for crochet or knitted toy. So I decided to make Crochet by Kitten Girls Ivysaw. Now I wanted to make the Ivysaw, not the Bulbasaur, because I already had the blue yarn. That's a good enough reason, right? That, and come on! Ivysaw's pink flower is very cute. I nearly made the shiny version, for those of you who are Pokemon fans. This has come out quite nicely. I'm very pleased with it. The eyes took me longer than anything else here, for 1,000 reasons. I'll probably do a separate video on making the Ivysaw, or maybe I will, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll make one of their other patterns and then talk about her patterns a little bit more. But for a free crochet pattern, no, not a beginner pattern, but not bad by any stretch of the imagination for a free pattern that, other than the counting around the head, everything was pretty simple. I made these leaves curve more than she did. I'm not entirely sure that I followed the instructions to sew the trunk of the flower on properly. At that point, I was pushing it to get everything finished in time for the A&P show. I ended up doing 2 drop-offs. You'll see why I didn't get everything done. Most of this was done in the 1 month. So this was in the category crochet or knit toy. This was quite a popular category. I think it might have had the largest number of entries, other than maybe that and baby booties felt like they were really large. For child's multicolored garment, this was whipped up in about, I want to say 2 days, but it was sort of one evening and one day. This was with 2 balls of rainbow yarn, and this is going to be part of my niece's Christmas gift. I do have some star-shaped buttons that I'm going to put on this. I just haven't done that yet. I didn't have time. But it's just a granny square cardigan. I mean, I'll put the instructions up for it in order to make my version of the granny square cardigan to fit a 6-year-old girl or 6-year-old person. What I do with the crochet granny square cardigans is I do knit the cuffs, because I prefer a knitted cuff to the crochet rib. So I can write that up. That's nice and easy. One thing I am pleased about this one is how the centre back has come together compared to my version of the cardigan. And I see these are going, not viral, but they're now being advertised as mermaid cardigans. So I figured a 6-year-old might enjoy a mermaid cardigan as part of a Christmas gift. That and child's multicolored garment. I was running low on time. My original plan involved some intarsia and a penguin, and in the end, I went with this. It is a colour changing yarn, but what I ended up doing was stopping colours at particular points, rolling the yarn to get to the next one, so that I could do like colour matching stripes in particular places around the cardigan. So that was child's multicoloured cardigan. Oh, my roosters are going crazy. Then I'd already started it before it was released, what the categories were for the A&P show, which this was the Hobie Make-Along Après Ski, which was down as a beginner knit, which if I'd realised it was a beginner knit, I probably wouldn't have signed up for it, but it was enjoyable. I liked being part of the Projectarian one. I might link my video experience there, and so I wanted to do another Hobie one. The yarn, not my favourite, but at least I used some mohair. There's some things that I'm not so happy with about it, like the increases around this orange. Like I feel like going from the moss stitch to a stockinette stitch already makes things larger. So if it was me designing this, I would probably have the increases happen during this pink stripe. Or just not have a heavy moss stitch around this end of the sleeve that pulls everything down. I did change this section from what was in the pattern. I changed this brick section a little bit. Some people did an offset one. I just did 2 rows of the red in between rather than 4. So I had a few changes from the pattern there, but that's finished. It's kind of cool. I enjoy the orangey colours. There was supposed to be an embroidered motif across the purple, but I couldn't decide what I wanted embroidered in that section. And I don't know if I want anything embroidered right here. Just say, look at my flat boobs. But, you know, to each their own. Maybe I'll come back to it and embroider something on there, but I just haven't done that as yet. The next, that was in adult garment, any yarn. Any adult garment? Yeah. Then the next section was a chunky knit garment, a funky chunky knit garment. I went with this cardigan. I got this from a kit from the Joy Make Club. So it is very cool. It is a massively chunky New Zealand merino in these really cool mint and bubblegum as the 2 colour shades patterns. It was supposed to have stripy sleeves, but I decided at the last minute that actually what I wanted to do was have cables down the sleeves, because a really chunky cable was something that was my heart's desire. So I changed the sleeves. I did think at one point what I was going to do is to undo it, add an extra 2 stripes so that it becomes a cardigan that hangs over my bum rather than stopping at my waist. But I didn't do that. I also reworked the front from what she had in the pattern. Her pattern had, this wasn't, I decided to knit the band in with the project rather than picking up all the stitches and adding the band on afterwards, because that's just mind-numbing to me. So I knit the band on and then extended the band from the shoulder section up to the center collar so that it's just one continuous thing around. It is very heavy. My sister loves it. It could end up being given to her at some point because it's really heavy. It's really warm. But of course, anything that's 14 ply or above is going to be very heavy to wear. It will take up an entire drawer. It's a massive garment, but what a cute company and what a lovely woman and all of that kind of stuff. Now, what else did I enter that was new? I made this tea cozy. So it looks like a tiny hat, but it's a tea cozy. It does indeed fit over a teapot, even though I was a little bit hesitant about it. I followed a pattern from one of the knitting books that I bought a while back on Japanese style knitting, and this has got a bubble stitch pattern on it. And it was just designed for 3 colours alternating with a pom-pom on the top. So I made the tea cozy. This one only took me a day, so it was a quick make. It took me longer to done in all the ends. But I made the tea cozy. That was a fun one because I've never made a tea cozy before. I've done the bubble stitch before, but not for a long, long time. So that was fun and enjoyable. Then I entered my 24-hour play socks, which only one of these socks was finished during the 24-hour play competition. The other one I had to finish afterwards. So it was just a basic pair of socks. These are not complicated socks by any stretch of the imagination. But the category was a pair of knitted socks or gloves, I think. And I was going to make something with a lace pattern or redo the albatross socks. I'll link that pattern up here. But I just didn't have time in the end. And at this point, I was suffering from an injury to my wrists from gardening. Then what else do we have in here? I created this completely seamless baby singlet. I'm proud of the fact that it's completely seamless. I do want to rework it some because I think that the ribbed section up here is really cool, but it would be nice if I could work out how to make the neck bind off neater. And it doesn't need to be just straight stockinette there, but at least that one there, I was pleased that I did it, and it is fully seamless because that was my aim, is I didn't want to have... I could have followed a pattern and made a seamed singlet, but I wanted to make one that was seamless. And briefly, I considered maybe I enter this in the child's multicolored garment, which is why it's got 2 different balls of yarn. But, you know, whatevs. Baby socks. I did knit a pair of baby socks. Now, this is not my first pair of knitted baby socks. I've knitted a few of them. It's a larger pair than I made last time, but I'm working on grading up the patterns to have lots of different sizes of baby socks before I release it. This is just exactly the same pattern. Like, it's just knit all the way around. So it's stockinette stitch. It's not a complicated baby sock at all, but I want to get the base right before I start coming up with patterns on the sock. What else did I enter? Baby booties. Now, these are a play upon the baby booty pattern that I've got released. This one's got a basket weave stitch at the top, and I do have a vest pattern that needs to be written up more fully that matches these baby booties. So there's those baby booties with their little basket weave on the top. They were all the things that I made new for the competition. I entered my granny square bag. Oh, the sun's coming out in my face now. Oh, a granny square bag. Oh, they label them with a number and a pin, so I need to put that to the side. I made this ages ago. This is from the Granny all-in-one yarn, and then some scraps of orange to join them all together and to make the strap. So I entered the granny square bag under any crochet item, under any knit item. This was new because I had been working on this pattern. My plan was to make half a dozen. I didn't. I got through 3. I made 3 daffodils. They've been crushed a little bit in the bottom of the box, but 3 knit daffodils for any knit item. I'm not overly happy with how they came out. I'm happy with this white one. I feel like this one, I was copying it off of a picture of an actual daffodil, and I'm not happy with this here. But it's still a pattern in progress, and I just wanted to enter my daffodils because Carterton is the daffodil capital, and it felt like it was a good idea. This was new. And then the last one I entered was the 6-day star crochet blanket that I made earlier on this year, and this was in lap blanket category. So I've got this massive now pile of knitting and crochet, and what I did was, how do I do this without exposing my address? I'll do this. So what I did was I took a photo of each of the items and I labeled them on these index cards with the category of the competition and then my name and address on each one. So there's a whole stack of these. This is just with one of those, what's it called? A Sprocket mini printer, I think. It just prints out a sticker from your phone. I've got an Instax one, and this is the HP Sprocket one. I don't know if it's still available, but I have that. So I put those on all the index cards to make my entries, and then you put that into an envelope and you pin the envelope to the item, and you put the item in a box and you drop the box off. Because as you can imagine, it's a bit of a nightmare when you go from having all of the things from all of the people, you put them into the box and people lose stuff. So you need to make sure everything's really well labelled. But how did I go overall? Now, it's worth remembering you pay $1, a whole dollar, to enter every item. Well, actually, you pay $5 for the first item, and then if you enter 5 items, that drops to $1 each. So I entered, I want to say 10. And then I entered some vegetables. I did win the cabbage. I did win the potatoes. I did not place in the herbs whatsoever. But this is my envelope of prize money. So first receives $10. Second, I don't know, I think it's about $5. And then third is $2. So hilarious bag of things there. And these were my prize haul. Okay, so I had third prize in baby socks, 4-ply yarn. That was the blue socks, which is very exciting. No, the socks. Third place in the mustard brown socks, which actually I hadn't twigged to the fact that the baby socks had done well. Third place in baby booties. You're going to see a bit of a theme coming along here. Third place for my Hobie jumper adult garment, any yarn. Third place for my tea cozy. Woo! I was quite chuffed with the tea cozy. Third place for any article knitted miscellaneous. That was my daffodils. Third place for any article crochet. That's the granny square bag. Third place for funky chunky cardigan. And third place for the ivy saw. Now, the section, I did say earlier that I did win one of the sections, and I was quite surprised to win the section because I can see all the flaws that are in it. But winning the section did point out to me what it is they're actually looking for. I came first in knee rug. My granny star crochet 6-day blanket thing that I think I did it in 5 days because then I ran out of yarn, won me the first prize. Now, this is what told me, this and looking at some of the other items, particularly in the toy category, because that was the most hotly contested category, that the star crochet blanket, put my winnings just over there, I don't want to be robbed. This blanket showed me what they're actually valuing. And that's along the lines of workmanship. Like, all of the ends are darned in. These are 6 different balls of yarn. It's a lot of different stitches. So they're looking for things to show your degree of complexity. So that's why this one did quite well, because it was up against some that I looked at and thought, there's no way that I could either knit or crochet that. But this had a variation of stitch styles, it had a change of color, it had all of those things that they must have been looking for. Now the bag, whether or not they knew that this is the magic yarn that automatic, oh, the sun is blaring, if they knew it was the granny all-in-one yarn, I don't know whether or not it would have placed so well, but again, I think it's the degree of complexity. And in the any category, what was being valued was something that was different. This was the only granny crochet bag in the category. A lot of it was just random crocheted items, along with the knitting one. The one that won was mice in a box. It was very cute. So there's a level of quirkiness and complexity that they were wanting in the any category that needed to be something that really did fall outside of everybody else's categories. The tea cozy has the bobble stitch, which makes it more complex than the ones that were just knitted straight. The one that won last year, because I don't actually remember which one won this year, I was too busy looking to take photos or a video while I was there, and I was meant to, and then I got all carried away with my cabbage and my potatoes. I'll put up my cabbage here and I'll put up my potatoes here, or maybe they're on the same side, because who knows, because Brett McKenzie of Flight of the Conchords Flame reposted my potatoes, and my potatoes went viral, and then somebody reposted my well, didn't even repost, posted a picture of my cabbage on Facebook. And I never saw it, but it went wild around, and I thought that I was famous for my cabbage. And then Brett McKenzie does the potatoes, and I didn't get around to videoing my knitting and crochet. But there's a complexity to this. There's a colour change, there's a pattern change, but this still only came third, because the one that came first last year had lots of bits and pieces sewn onto it, and I think it might have been either like a cottagey scene or a beehivey scene or something along those lines. It was very cute. It's worth noting that once you win a category, you can't enter that item in the category again. So in many respects, I'm really happy that the Star Crochet blanket won, because I nearly didn't enter it, because I can see where I've miscounted stitches and there are mistakes in it. Whether or not other people know that, they do now. I've just said it on the internet. Anyway, these ones, not overly complex, but they were well executed. Baby singlet did not place. It was a hotly contested category. Regular socks did not place, because the ones that did place were highly complex and absolutely on point, stunning. I didn't even block these. I just entered them as is. So definitely block your socks. Child's cardigan did not place, because they're looking for a complexity, and the granny hexagon cardigan isn't complex. The toy section was the one that I learnt the most from, because the ones that came first and second were highly interactive. The first one was this massive rhino, so it had scale on its side, and it's one of those ones with the stacking rings, and then the rhino head goes on the top. It was absolutely beautiful, and it was huge. So there was a scale in the proportion, and there was also a complexity in what it was, and an interactivity in the toy category. So they really are looking at what the category is and how functional your item is within that category. What came second was one of those interactive children's books with the dinosaurs and the egg that came open and closed, and that sort of thing. Mine just looked good. As far as playability goes, I mean, I've hand-stitched on those eyes. I wouldn't give this to a child necessarily. If this was in a model category, maybe, but it's not the same level of interactivity. It's huggable. It was larger than some of the other items that scored highly in the it's not larger than the two that, it's not larger than the rhino, but it was the largest of the other items, which may have helped. It is well done. If I do toot my own horn, some of that is the Hobie yarn. It was the only plush yarn of this quality. There was some discount yarn used in some of the projects, but it was one that stood out, that it was made from quality products and it was made well. But it placed third, and I see that because it didn't have the interactivity or the toy function that the others did. So, A&P Show 2025, I'm coming for you. I'm going to start by looking at the A&P Show that happens in Masterton, just up the road, which happens in February, and find out whether or not they have a home industry section. If they do, I'm coming for you, Masterton. As far as 2025 next year, do I know what I'm going to be making? No, I do not. But I'm going to be thinking about it from now on. Because at least now I know the categories. I think what I might do for the chunky cardigan or the chunky category is have a look at, there's Jamie Dorman's designs from Jamie Creates, Hers are chunky yarns with interesting patterns. It's tempting to make one of her vests. That's one I need to start early because I struggle working with the weight. I don't know what I want to do with the toy category, but it does need to be something that's interactive. So I was considering something along the lines of, I don't know if you've seen the mouse in a suitcase, where it's a little suitcase and you open the suitcase and it's got the mouse and changes of clothing and stuff. So not that pattern, but something along those lines where there's interactive garments on a thing in a play set kind of concept, but I'd need to start that fairly early. And then we'll see how we go from there. Yeah, but that's how I went. I had a fantastic time. I bumped into a subscriber, hi, which I was really not expecting to bump into anyone who has ever seen my videos, because while my potatoes now may be famous worldwide, the vast majority of people who watch this channel are from America and the UK, not from rural New Zealand. So as I was going in to pick up my cabbage and my potatoes and ignore my herbs because they did not place, damn them, all the herbs were beautiful from everybody else, and I just put in a sprig of each herb in a jar. And so meeting somebody who watches, hi, it was actually really cool. I was not expecting that at all, but yeah, that was very lovely. I totally enjoyed it. I felt famous for just a moment. Yep, I mean, I'm the most famous person in this shot right now, but that's mainly because Rocky's not a person and the roosters aren't in the shot. They're just being obnoxious over there, and nobody else is here. But that's it. This is a particularly long video for I entered the A&P show and this is how I did. But I entered the A&P show and this is how I did. I mean, amazing. I'll be back next year. In the meantime, I'll catch you next week. And as we get closer and closer to it, I'll catch you a lot during Christmas because hopefully we're doing Vlogmas. I will see you later. Bye.